Right. Doing a video for the Heineken Cup, European rugby in general. Mainly Heineken Cup though. On my own, I tried to watch as many of the games as I could. Obviously, it was quite interesting because it was for the playoffs. Busy watching some SA20, T20 cricket. Hopefully a bit of a revival for South African cricket as well. But in any case, I'm talking about rugby. So yeah, I tried to watch as much of the rugby as I could. I started off with Leicester Tigers at home against Ospreys, and these, as guys who follow the URC, these results are extremely interesting. Because no disrespect to Ospreys, and I'm sure there's something behind it that Leicester rested some players, but a great result for Ospreys away from home to win 27-26 against Leicester, who won the Premiership. So absolutely fantastic for them. I'm going to get to the log now, but if I remember correctly, the Ospreys also went through. Then stayed up till 10 o'clock at night to watch Vodacom Bulls Lyon. The Bulls rested their tight five, and they just seemed off. And Lyon were really, really good in conditions that they're familiar with on a synthetic pitch. It was cold, it was snowing or sleet or whatever, but something that's definitely foreign to the Bulls players. And they made a lot of mistakes. The Bulls couldn't build phases. They knocked the ball on, and Lyon were really in their faces and precise. And they seemed comfortable at home, and as the Bulls beat them fairly comfortably, we saw it with Exeter and the Bulls as well. If you win your home games and you win them well, you've got a very good chance of going through to the next round. And the Bulls in the end did go through, but it was a bad night. It was a mistake-ridden night. They couldn't, like I said, there was no flow to the game. And Lyon were just, their defense was relentless. Every now and then I thought maybe the Bulls will get into a gear and really kick on, but Lyon were really, really good, and I think it's really a team to watch in the future. A team growing in stature, and they might become a powerhouse in French and European rugby. And then La Rochelle carried on with good form, beating Northampton Saints 31-13. Harlequin Sharks sent close to a full strength squad, not 100% full strength. They already went through, but they were well beaten by Harlequins 39-29. They were always behind for most of the game. Interesting decision as well. Not going to carry on about Nika Amashukeli. I think anybody who's watched one of our videos sort of knows how I feel about the old Georgian ref. But Ibn Etzebet picked up a ball from the ruck and ran through and scored. And my understanding of the law is that the ball is still in the ruck until it gets lifted past the hindmost feet. And I thought that the ball was behind the heel of the player in the ruck. And it's not when a lot of people think the ball is out when the scrum half puts his hands on the ball, and to my knowledge that is not the case. It's only when it gets lifted past his heel. But in any case, it's scored a try. He always tries that, and it's a bit concedes a lot of penalties from doing that, and we always urge him not to do it. And Leinster beat Racing 36-10, and I must say, I mean, it's awesome to play in a competition in the URC with a team like Leinster, who is actually been at the top of European rugby for a while, and they are probably the team with the best pedigree in Europe, and currently the form team in Europe. So I wish them well. Obviously, I want the South African teams to do well, but I like that we are in a competition that has that quality in it, which shows that we are probably in the URC in the right place. Then to the current URC champions, the Stormers beat Clermont, who's also they're a good team, but they're kind of not at their best at the moment. And then Exeter comfortably beat Castres, who did not go, they didn't make the last 16. And Ulster beat the Sale Sharks 22-11, which I could not watch, unfortunately. And then Montpellier drew with London Irish, and London Irish were quite far ahead until the comeback by Montpellier. And then Toulouse beat Munster, and also another cracker, 2016. And it's amazing how close a lot of these games are, which shows when the European elite meet that it's really quality rugby. And a game that I did watch on this Sunday was Edinburgh Saracens, and again, Edinburgh, a good URC team, but Saracens, we always think of Saracens as right at the top of European rugby. They also rested a few players probably, but still Edinburgh played really well. Interesting right at the end, because Edinburgh needed any form of points to end above Saracens, but they did not do their homework, and they did not. The points difference was not communicated to them, and actually the scrum half, Edinburgh had possession of the ball, and the Edinburgh scrum half kicked the ball out at full time, and then obviously got some sort of message, and he just threw his hands up and he was like, well, I didn't know. And actually if they held on to the ball and they managed to milk a penalty in a kickable position, they would have ended, they would have gotten a home game in the last 16, which they obviously now didn't get. So who went through? In the one pool A, it was Leinster, Exeter 2, Sharks 3rd, Saracens 4th, Edinburgh 5th. So Edinburgh would have ended up above Saracens, and possibly the Sharks as well. I think they would have been in 3rd if they got a better points difference. 6 Harlequins, 7 Vodacom Bulls, and 8 Gloucester, and then Lyon and Racing in 9 and 10, which they also have a queue, so they also qualified as probably as best qualifiers. But then it adds up to 20. Not sure how that works, but in any case. And then in the other pool, it's La Rochelle 4 out of 4, Toulouse 4 out of 4, then the Stormers, Leicester, Ospreys, Munster 6, Montpellier 7, and Ulster in 8. And then Clermont and the Sale Sharks. And they get small queues. Oh, I assume they go into the Challenge Cup. It works like the Europa League and the Champions League in the football. Please add something to that if I'm correct, but I think they go into the European Challenge Cup where the Cheetahs and the Lions also. So all 5 South African teams in Europe qualified. It will be difficult for the Bulls with away games, but I think the Stormers and the Sharks are sitting pretty, and they have a good chance playing at home and going to the next round of the Heineken Champions Cup. Okay. Looking forward to the last 16, and it's becoming really enthralling. And what's cool from our perspective is that we are learning a lot more about European rugby and who are the forces to be reckoned with, etc., etc. So very cool to see. Thanks. Cheers.